Hi everyone, and welcome to the first lockdown edition of Split Screens. We're planning to revamp the whole series again. But before that, I want you guys to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon because that's very important for us to maintain this channel. In today's episode, we've got two members of the background staff of FC Goa, Amrit and Lokesh, and we're going to be talking about scouting because that seems to be like a very important factor in how football clubs run or want to function in the future, because there seems to be a lot of talent in the country, but we've not really been able to tap into the potential so far. And perhaps the best team, at least in the ISL, to have done that is FC Goa. They give chance to a lot of Indians and especially a lot of Goans, where the club is based out of. So I thought we should call to two of FC Goa's main men behind the scenes and ensuring that good quality Indians and of course the foreigners are recruited by the side. So let's jump into the episode. Before I jump into my questions, can you guys just give me a small intro? Maybe start off with Amrit as to what you guys do for FC Goa.
Uh, so my job title is manager technical analysis. That translates into using data, software, whatever we can to provide information to the different things, different parts of the technical process. So it could be whether I'm giving information to Lokesh, helping him with scouting, could be giving information to the coaches, helping with tactics, anything that comes under the technical aspect, and within maybe using data to find a solution to that is where my responsibility comes. Yeah, it's pretty broad and pretty generic. So, yeah.
And Lokesh?
So my title is player recruitment, scouting, and analysis. So I cover these three functions at the club: player recruitment for the first team, for the reserve team, right down till the youth team. Scouting similarly for all the teams that we have on the club. So I also keep traveling around the country to watch a lot of state leagues to pick up best players from there. So yeah, this is pretty much.
No offense, Amrit, but Lokesh's job seems way more interesting, which involves a lot of traveling and actually watching football matches. So, if I had to like start at one place when it comes to scouting, are you the first person? Like you just throw open ideas to the team? Are you just go watch the state leagues, find very interesting players? Is that how the process starts? You identify a player, or is there something else that I'm missing?
So I'm not the only person who identifies a player for us. Like it could be Amrit or it could be Joachim, for example. Joachim is another local scout who works for our club. So if any of them, they spot a good player, they'll come back to me. They'll tell me that we found a good player, and then we go and communicate with the coach of that particular team, and we try to bring that player on board for a trial. And once the coach likes a player on a trial, that's when we decide to sign the player. So it's not just me who's going and scouting, but we have a lot of other people also involved in this who go and scout.
Yeah. But like, so what if you really like a player? You went to a state league. Say, let's stick to Goa itself. It's like filled with a lot of footballers. Yeah. So you go to a state league, you see a match, you like a player. Now, what next? What is the process?
Okay, so once we like a player, we invite him for a trial with us for a week or 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And once the player does well for us in the trial, that's when we decide to sign a player. So that is till the reserve team. We invite players for a trial. We can't do that obviously for the first team. But anything else, we always call the player for a trial to see whether the player is able to cope up with in training in terms of our style of play. So that is very important for us to take a decision. So
and let's just going back to the process. When you say you like a player, how do you quantify something like you like a player?
Yeah, so at a club we have a guidebook in terms of what position, what specific metrics to look at for each position. So this is something which the club's technical director Derek Pereira has designed. So he's come up with a certain expectation, something to look at for each and every position. Like for a goalkeeper, for example, we need someone who's not only good at reflexes, who's not only good at shot stopping, but we also need him to be good with his feet, good in distribution. So we have a certain set of parameters that we look at for each and every position. So anybody who's going scouting has a checklist. They just have to see whether a player is just fitting into all of that criteria. If yes, then that's when a player is then proposed to the coaches that this is a player that we like. Maybe let's call him for the trial. So there's a checklist kind of a thing that we have,
Which you
and
specifically
everybody just
designed
sticks
for
to
it.
it. Yeah, yeah.
So Amrit, jumping into you here. So okay, Lokesh has brought a very interesting prospect. How do you come in with your inputs? Because you probably, I mean, especially for state leagues, you probably don't have a lot of numbers to look at, right?
Yeah, I mean there are solutions around that. For example, every match, or not even I wouldn't say every AIFF match, but almost every match that is conducted at a decent level in India will have a team sheet. So this team sheet will have various information like who played, when did they play, how many minutes did they play, what position they played in, did they score, did they get a yellow card, etc. So my job comes into, and it's not possible for like we have a small team, right? We don't have like a massive scouting team, and so it's not possible for us to watch every league, every this thing. So my job is tracking these kind of things and trying to find out, is it's still a work in progress, but is there a player worth watching in this league, worth watching in that league? Mm-hmm. At the same time, the second aspect of the job would be that Lokesh or our scouts might watch 100 players every year. Mm-hmm. But how do we identify that out of these 100 players, that this guy might be the right one or this guy might be the right one? Somebody they might forget, they might see a different player, and recency bias might be there. So things like that. So the fact is that I help with all the documentation, data collection of all of these things, put it in a single source, and then we can always go back and refer to that database to find what we want.
So you're constantly sort of updating this as well. So you have a list, but then the more you get information, you're constantly updating this database. And
yeah, so since we've only been doing it for a year, and we have a small team, it's not really possible for us to get so much data and so much. So we're waiting for that point where we hit the right amount of data before we can start doing stuff on top of it. But right now it's very basic. It's basically a list of players, and like it's the checklist converted into a database format essentially. So the checklist that Coach Derek has given us converted into a database format so that it becomes easier for us to like shortlist a player.
Another question I have is, we've had a conversation, but from what I understand, this is pretty much been how you recruit Indian players. So when it comes to say foreigners, you and FC Goa have brought really, really good players. We keep talking about Koro, but it's a player like Jahu. It's been like it's been a phenomenon in this league. So how does the process vary for a foreigner?
So that's where actually the data heavy side of it comes. So for the foreign parts, at least we do a lot of analysis, and we do something called skill profiling, where we break it down, instead of looking at stats, which might be a little misleading, we break it down into skills, which are easier to understand and easier to process. So we cover, we have Instat and other sources where we get information from. We break them down into skills, and then we are able to analyze players from across multiple leagues and compare them to existing players, see how they would line up, and then see what would their impact be if they come in and do that kind of analysis. That's the first level. The second level, again, after that goes into watching video and doing analysis and the traditional scouting.
If I may ask, okay, I know about Instats. And what next? So Instats will give you a certain value in terms of their abilities.
So
you've been given numbers. What next?
So that's what I was saying, skill-based profiling, right? So we might take those numbers and we might convert it into a skill that you see on the football pitch. It could be, let's say, aerial ability could be a skill, shooting could be a skill, dribbling could be a skill, something like that, right? So we break it down into these skills, and then we compare players across those skills. So, for example, thanks to Coach Derek's player rubric or whatever, we know that this is where these are the skills that we need for each particular player, or these are the 5 or 6 skills that we care about, or in particular position. So then we start comparing those skills. Then we see, okay, what was our existing player doing, and can we get something similar to him from this new player that is coming in, stuff like that.
Okay.
Just to add to what Amrit was saying. So essentially, what we do is the first step. What Amrit pointed out, it helps us to filter out players. Like for example, we get thousands of player profiles from agents across the world playing in different leagues at different levels. So the player rubric that we have helps us to filter out players. And then the players who we shortlist after filtering out, and that's when we look at the players more extensively. while looking at their match videos, and that's how we come to a conclusion.
Are match videos that easily available? It's not like you're say recruiting from a Premier League or a La Liga, right? We're usually getting it from a lower league. Do you think that kind of videos are easily available?
Yeah, Instat has all those videos, so it makes our job much easier. So they don't only cover the top leagues; they also have videos from leagues which are 1 or 2 level below the top league. So and that's where we look at for most of our players. So anything below that would be too low a level to look at. So that's why Instat covers us pretty efficiently, and we look at those videos, and we get enough information about a player before.
Lokesh, tell me something. Do you get really frustrated when you actually watched a player who's brilliant, but sometimes the stats don't sort of add up and the team says, no, he's not good enough? I mean, you've seen it with your eyes that this kid is brilliant. But then Amrit must say, no, man, the XG is not working out, the stats are not working out. Do you have that frustration all the time?
Not all the time. So I do. We do have this issue sometimes, and we keep arguing amongst each other. But not all the times, I would say, because like I said earlier, we have a certain set of parameters to look at for each and every position. So more or less, the players that we tend to like are the same players, because he's not looking at someone completely different, and I'm not looking at someone completely different. We know for a fact that we have to look under these limitations and under these guidelines. We cannot look for players beyond that. So, yeah, so more or less the players that we tend to like are pretty much similar. If not,
Okay.
there's not a lot of difference in them.
And say, what happens? I don't know whether it's ever happened to you guys at FC Goa, but what happens when, say, there is a sudden shortage of defenders? Two of your crucial defenders got injured. Then what happens then? Does the coaching staff come to you guys to, come for the solution? In case of such emergencies, how does your team sort of, both of you can answer this question.
Okay, so in the youth system, like let's say two of us centre backs, one guy gets injured, one of them is suspended. So we tend to look at our under 18 team, because they're the players who are next in line to be playing in the reserve team. So we tend to give a chance to any younger player. So we do that for each and every team. Like under 16 player gets injured, for example, we tend to look at under 14 and give that boy an opportunity. So that is not. We tend to look internally first before we look at a player outside.
And Amrit, so what if it's defender injury crisis is happening in say December, and you've got a January window coming up? So then a coach comes to you and says, "Listen, we need to get another defender." And I'm assuming there is also money involved. So you guys are also
the planning that we do actually is to make sure that this situation never comes up. So for example, we are doing this work in May to ensure that we never get to a situation in December where we have injury crisis or whatever. We also have to give a lot of credit to the SNC coaches, etc., who do a really good job in keeping players fit and all that. But we try, from our recruitment and planning perspective, we try to find players who are versatile, who can play multiple different positions, who can fill in multiple different roles and within positions, etc. So our squad is built in such a way that we have players that we can move around, but are also good at doing their default job.
And can you think of any situations where this has been asked of you guys, any players who sort of performed well in a different position because you recommended something like that from the season that has gone by?
One name that I can think of is probably Ivan. He didn't get too much of a chance to play. He only got to play one game, which was the last game of the league stage. So Sheraton, who's been playing most of the games over the past 3 years, he was suspended. The backup player, Amay, he started the game. He's a very young defender. He was having a difficult time. He was playing against a foreigner on the left wing of Jamshedpur. So, he was in the first 50, 60 minutes or so that Amay played, he was having a tough time. So, the coach decided to make a substitution. He brought in Ivan as a right back. Ivan is someone who's largely been playing as a centre back for most of his playing career. So, he fitted into that team very well for the remaining 30-35 minutes that he played. And he did a job for us. So,
and
a more high profile example that you can give is Koro, right? Like when we had Edu, Brandon, and Hugo out, Koro came in. He's the number 9. He could have easily said, "No, I will not play in a different position." But he came in and he did a job for us, and that is the kind of what we're talking about. Sorry, go ahead, Lokesh.
Yeah, and probably Edu also for that matter, because the season that we recruited him, he was playing alongside Jao as a number 8. But the season after that, when we got in Lenny and the coach thought he wanted to play in a different system. So Edu actually moved up. He played number 10, and he did a very good job for us. He had a great season. He scored a lot of goals. So even Edu for that matter.
Okay, I think coming to the sort of major question, and this has always been my problem, and I've always expressed this to Amrit in our podcast as well. I am a very purist, and I feel like there are things that the stats can't identify. And sometimes you have to actually be there and see the footballer to sort of understand how good that person is. Do you think that's a big challenge that we are facing, considering our clubs are small and there's very few people out there actually scouting and going to these matches? And secondly, what is the solution? Or am I wrong? Like Amrit can say that I'm wrong here and stats.
So, yeah, I'll answer this question. So obviously, whether a person scores a 50-yard overhead bicycle kick like Zlatan or scores a tap in, a goal is a goal. So with the stats, it's impossible to do that kind of identification, which is why our second level is video. But also, I'd go back to what I said about skill profiling, right? So it's not that we are looking at individual stats. So we're not looking at the guy, he scored this many goals, or we're not looking at just his XG. We are able to combine all of these stats into giving a skill rating. So we have multiple different stats. Conversion rate might be one, his shots on target, goals, XG, all of that will come into one single stat, that is his finishing or a shooting. So since we have a process that is able to do this, I think it actually lines up very well with how, like for example, the best example I can give is what me and Lokesh are the ones who mainly watch. So based on what we watch and what we think of a player, I think the skill profiling that we do kind of matches with that. It's not always true, obviously, and there are certain cases where it could be that a particular player is rated lower or higher. And in those cases, we do bring it up and we do discuss it and why is this happening and stuff. So it's not that stats are useless. Stats are very, very good, and especially if you use them smartly, if you use them in the right way, if you try to get past all the negatives of stats, they can be very valuable. But at the same time,
break that down for me a little bit more. Say, for example, I had this debate with my friend the other day where he said Messi in 2009-14 was the best. The Messi who was playing in the right wing and cutting in. And I said, I disagree. Because then he was sort of playing with Xavi, Iniesta and the best of La Masia. And then now, after that, he sort of moved to a more central position. He sort of dictated things. I mean, I was just putting it out there and said he probably didn't have the best players around him. The quality around the team sort of dipped. So how do you quantize these things? That's my thing. Are there more factors than say assists and passes and those things that we see on a usual graphic card?
Right. So the Messi example is great because there's these people called Javi Fernandez example, who's at Barcelona, or he's a research guy at Barcelona. So what he did was he has this whole model, and he was able to describe that why Messi is the best player on the pitch is because he's always in the most dangerous position for the team at any time. So if you see a defensive shape, 4-4-2 defensive shape or something, the most dangerous position on the field is the area in between the two defensive midfielders and the two centre backs. Mm-hmm. And Messi, and this changes based on how the players are moving, etc. So, and Messi would always be, even if he's not moving, even if he's walking or not, he will be in the position from which you can create the maximum amount of danger. So there is a way to do everything. There is a way to identify, and as stats evolves, it become even better and better. I'm not saying it's a perfect and it's not a perfect science. And
InStats provides these things? Or?
No. So that's why we have our own methods. Like, for example, I spent a lot of time thinking about, for example, when I was not at FC Goa, I used to see the different type of players that the Indian club was signing and say, you know what, we can easily see that this guy is not going to do it or this guy is not going to do it because of certain things in his stats. Mm-hmm. So since I have that context and that understanding, I was able to build the skill profile thing, which even Instat have their own version of this, but it's not like, for example, it won't be, if you compare their numbers with my numbers, it'll be very different. And I feel that my numbers, and maybe Lokesh can jump in here, I feel that my numbers are a little more a better picture of what is happening in that player. It is not perfect. Even I'm agreeing that it is not going to be perfect. The most important thing is to definitely watch the player multiple times, long videos, whatever you want, and not just like these compilations, right? So try to watch full matches, and obviously that is the best way to do it. But stats, and especially if you use it very intelligently, is a very, very good initial filter. If you see the process, if you see it as 3 steps, right? Stats is the first thing, then you watch the video, and then you go into like your budget and negotiations.
Absolutely. Look,
Just to add to what Amrit has been saying, I'll just say it in a more simpler way. Like, when we sign a player, it's always better to have as much information about a player as possible, right? So maybe if you're watching the match, earlier that was how scouting was done largely. You just watch a match, you like a player, and you sign him, etc. Now you're adding another line of with the stats, which helps you get more information about a player. Stats is only adding to that part. Right. So earlier you're only looking at say one thing. Now you're looking at one, which is watching the match. Plus you're looking at stats as well. So it gives you a little more information that you previously had. So it's always good to have as much information possible about a player before we start. Third thing could be which we are not doing at the moment, could be looking at the physical attributes, how much distance is being covered in a match, etc. How many sprints a player is able to make, how long is he able to last in a match, whether he's able to play only for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, whatever. So when these things also start coming up in the future, it will be like, people who criticize us will say that, how can you only look at this parameter and decide if a player is good or not? But largely what the smarter clubs would do is integrate everything together and get as much information as possible before making a decision. It gives you a more informed decision and, less likely a chance to go wrong.
and
The risk is less.
Exactly.
got it. Yeah. Lokesh, just coming back to you, I'm sure you deal with a lot of football agents as well, and you see a lot of agents popping up in India. That seems to be like a market there. So how is that seen? Like, so do these agents send their profiles, and if you can speak about it, as a club, like, is FC Goa like constantly working with agents, or is it something that you look to avoid?
I'll just start off by saying Ravi is the one at the club who deals with the agents because he's the director of football, and he's the one who negotiates the pricing with the agents, etc. I am also involved a little bit of that. I do speak to a few agents as well, and players these days, almost everybody is represented by an agent. So it is very difficult for you to just reach out to a player and having to skip that agent part, because a player does not want to negotiate with a club directly. They always want someone else to be able to negotiate on their behalf. So this is a practice that is largely followed across the world in football, and India is no different to that. So Indian players, almost every professional player also rather has an agent, and whether we like it or not, we have to go through that channel.
And especially for foreigners, do you have any example of where it's actually worked out for you, where an agent sort of mailed you, you opened the mail, and sort of, it turned out to be a very good player? Because I know for a lot of other football clubs.
I'll give you one name, Koro.
Oh, is it? So agent approached you, and that's how Koro's.
So that's how it works largely. So agents, they tend to give out a lot of profiles in the position that you're looking at for players, and once you have those profiles, you start looking at those profiles who you think can best fit into your club. This is a good way to do it because you know for the fact that the player is available and ready to come to India. If you just go about scouting for players without an agent being involved, you can do that also. But you might end up wasting some bit of your time because you don't know if, let's say you like a player, you spotted a player, but you don't know if that player is ready to come to India, is ready to come to ISL, what kind of money is he expecting, etc. If you have an agent involved, you have clarity on that aspect already before you start, doing more research on that player.
Got it. Now I have to come back and ask you this, and what is happening with Goa? Now suddenly there's a lot of footballers coming up, and as a Mallu, I'm a little upset because our state is not doing the same thing. But generally, I mean, FC Goa has done a phenomenal role in bringing these players up as well, and it seems like there is another set of players out there, willing to, make the next step up. I saw a little bit of Xavier Gama, and he looked very exciting. So, can you just both of you can speak about what is happening in Goa? Is there like a football revolution happening? Did FC Goa play a significant role, or Can you talk about how the state league is also functioning there?
Well, revolution in Goa, you can't. It will be unfair to say that it started only since FC Goa has come in, because before FC Goa there were a lot of other Goan clubs who were playing in the top flight in Indian football, and Goa is a state football is a state sport rather in Goa, and kids, they are they're born playing football. They like to play football from a very young age. Everywhere you see kids playing football. So it's unfair to say that Goa has FC Goa has created a revolution of sorts, but FC Goa has been very influential in terms of giving a lot of opportunity to these Goan players, because after a lot of these I League clubs pulled out of the top division in India, there weren't too many clubs left apart from FC Goa and Churchill Brothers, obviously. So and FC Goa has been a key platform for the local Goan players to play in the top flight of Indian football. So yeah, we've been doing that, and there's no reason why we shouldn't look at Goan players and look for players elsewhere. When we have a good amount of local talent, it helps serve a purpose already.
Amrit, and forgive me if this is a very naive question, but the way Goans play football, did that help the FC Goa ideology as well? Because you guys are also known for loving your football and not your long ball strategy. So did that sort of work well, where the Goans also love their football and FC Goa?
I wouldn't say that there's a Goan style of football. There, as in with any place, there are all sorts of people, all sorts of teams within Goa. But the beauty is that they play so many games here. There's a lot of games that happen, a lot of teams around here, and there's just so many players. There's a huge player base to work with, so there's a lot of talent, and there's always somebody coming through because the culture here is so great, etc. It doesn't really have anything to do with the type of football or the style of football. You get the same type of players in Mizoram as you do in Goa. But the thing with the Goans is they prefer to play for FC Goa than another place. Like a northeastern kid is more likely to be open to going to Odisha or moving to Chennai or moving to Kerala to play. But Goans, they prefer to play in Goa for a Goan team. That's just some kind of thing with the culture they have. So the fact that FC Goa is there is kind of like the brand recognition is there around Goa. So people want to play for FC Goa. Goans want to play for FC Goa rather than any other club. So we found it really, really, it's really, really easy for us to say, you know what, this player is good. We should bring it up. And then when he comes in, he gives more than 100% for us.
Absolutely. And that's been a sort of revolution for the sport itself. I think that there's a lot of players coming in and playing for the national team. It's not just FC Goa. They've been like contributing a lot to the national team as well. A quick last question. You've signed a new manager and very interesting prospect, very good looking guy as well. So I was asking your media person whether you're going to put like hot pictures of your managers. But apart from that, like what can we expect from him, and how are you guys going to plan for a very interesting season that's coming ahead, because there's an AFC challenge as well?
For starters, you can expect a same brand of football that FC Goa is used to playing over these past few years. So a continuity to that is something that we can expect. We can also expect, hopefully, to win ISL.
Of course.
I just add the word evolution also to it, because it's a great word, I think, that would describe the situation very nice, because we want to keep the style of football, we want to keep our identity, but we also want to add a few things to it. So hopefully we see a lot more of that coming.
Can I ask you what that extra element that you want to see in FC Goa? Because we love the team. So I don't know what more you can add to FC Goa right now.
You'll see it when the ISL season starts.
I like the bait. Huh? Anyway, so we are running out of the interview time for a Zoom call. So I think we should just wind this up. Thank you guys. I think it's been an education. I have a better understanding of how Indian football clubs work and how FC Goa particularly works in terms of identifying and scouting talent. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Hopefully we'll be in touch, and we'll see how the next season goes.